Welcome everybody to the Ring Generals. This is another edition of the UFC show that the Ring Generals do. My name is Nick Nenad. I'm alongside today Eric.
What's cooking? What's happening?
Yeah, there you go. Perfect.
Yeah.
We're a little bit under the weather, both of us, because we went to WrestleMania 35. And, crazy weather, crazy experiences, a lot of yelling. On my part, even some extra stuff added to that yelling. So we're a little under the weather. I think we sound okay though, Eric. Just listening to both of our voices, I sound better at least than I did yesterday for sure.
Well, when you were like at the cover two, like I can totally tell like Jared was like the more faithful on that one because you were like still having withdrawals from the event itself, you know.
Withdrawals is a good name for it, actually.
Yeah. So I'm like, I totally I can totally understand Nick where he comes from, but we'll probably get to that a little bit later if we have time, you know.
Yeah. No, we want to get the important stuff out of the way and talk about UFC 236, which is this Saturday. We get home from this crazy weekend and we got another big pay-per-view to talk about. So I'm more than down to do that, and then we'll kind of discuss some of the other news that's going on in UFC. I don't think there's been any other big giant stuff as far as I don't know what you've seen, Eric, but I haven't really seen any major announcements yet.
Well, I did talk to you when we were at WrestleMania, and I do want to bring this up. When Paul Heyman said that he wanted to speed the matchup between Brock Lesnar and Seth Rollins because Brock Lesnar's got an important meeting in Las Vegas, and I asked you, hey man, Las Vegas, you don't think that they're teasing already the fight between Lesnar and DC, right?
No, I mean, it sure as hell seems like that. And then Brock lost, and in wrestling terms, that usually means that you're gone for a while. And especially talking about Brock Lesnar, Brock seems to leave after these big matches a lot because, of course, it is scripted in WWE. It's not real. It's not, he's not really fighting the next day or anything like that. So, it's looking more and more likely that maybe a Daniel Cormier Brock Lesnar fight will actually happen. We heard August might be a date and time that might happen, but as of right now, nothing official. But definitely after watching WrestleMania, if you did watch, the show of shows, you did see that at the very beginning, Brock Lesnar did lose and give his title away, which usually means he's doing something else.
So it totally tells that Brock, he's got plans, and hopefully if this does lead up to August, which I'm pretty sure, I'm praying that Brock and DC is going to happen. I think that's probably the only thing that we're probably looking forward to. Other than that, nothing. I've been hearing some news here and there about Dillashaw, but it's more about the same thing, him testing positive. But
exactly. He's suspended for 2 years. He's gone. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not, I mean, it's disappointing, obviously, because TJ's been one of the best, UFC fighters ever. But I guess he was on the juice while he was doing that. So, Barry Bonds was a great baseball player, but he cheated. And so it looks like TJ Dillashaw did in this case and didn't even appeal the suspension. He knew what he did. So disappointing in that realm. But, he's a cheater. What am I supposed to say?
Yeah. I mean, like, what else more to say? And he lost to Cahuto about that.
Exactly. I mean, Cahuto's got every he got his ass kicked by Henry Cahuto, and he was on the juice. So what does that say about TJ Dillashaw? Yeah. Look, we're already talking shit 5 minutes into the podcast, of course. But so this is the UFC show that we're primarily going to be talking about, UFC 236. We have two fantastic fights. We have Max Holloway versus Dustin Poirier. This is the second time they've faced. That is for, I believe, the lightweight championship, and this is Holloway's debut in the lightweight or the lightweight division, which means he could be a double champ if he wins this fight. And then the second one is Kelvin Gastelum versus Israel Adesanya, and that is the UFC middleweight championship. Both of those titles also are interim. So no real titles on the line here. There will be another fight sometime down the line with the other proven real champions. But for right now, those are the two main events on this card. You also have Khalil Roundtree Jr. fighting on this card, Ovince St. Preux and many, many others. But we're definitely going to focus pretty much on those two big fights because they're two great fights. I really don't know.
That's right.
I mean, I have an idea that Holloway might win that first fight, but the Gastelum Adesanya match is even for me.
Hmm. It's an interesting bout between Adesanya and Gastelum, and with Adesanya, he's right now on top. If you ask me, after that fight between him and Anderson Silva proved to be that Adesanya could be the next quote unquote maybe Anderson Silva. I kind of see it more of like passing the torch to
Yeah.
him. So Gastelum, he's gonna have to try to find ways to try to counter or try to find ways a good plan to take down Adesanya. Um, Say Prio, I do know a little bit about him, although I do know that he did lose to John Jones a couple years ago, if you remember.
Who
Yeah.
has lost to John
Yeah. So that's a big loss, but it's good to see him back in the octagon. Holloway and Poirier, I was watching the fight, a couple hours ago, just to see how if there's anything like any styles have differentiated. Although I kind of do want to dive back a little bit. The reason why I couldn't do the UFC 3 simulation of Holloway and Poirier is because at the time Holloway was still in the featherweight division.
Yeah.
And when they were making the game UFC 3, he was still under the featherweight division, and I couldn't really have the match. The only thing I could do was Adesanya and Gastelum.
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, no, it's you can't do those super fights. I remember you couldn't do that on the wrestling video game either.
Yeah.
A lot of times you couldn't do these super fights that were, unrealistic. You couldn't have chicks fight guys and stuff like that.
Yeah,
So
it's just so weird. Yeah.
yeah, no, but so yeah, so that's is good. I forgot you did that, but yeah. So I mean, let's start out with Gastelum and Adesanya. Obviously, Gastelum coming in, his last win was versus, let me pull it up right here, Raul Souza in Rio de Janeiro. So he's beaten a Brazilian fighter in Rio de Janeiro, fight of the night honors. Before that, he beat Michael Bisping, performance of the night in China. So this guy's going all over the world to win these fights. Problem is, his last fight was May 12th, 2018. So a long layoff. I'm forgetting who was he supposed to face recently. He was definitely supposed to face somebody, and I think his fight got canceled. I'm trying to remember who that
Yeah, I'm
was.
trying to remember him too.
Robert Whitaker. He was supposed to
Yeah,
face
Whitaker.
Robert Whitaker. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Robert Whitaker had his stomach explode on him before that
Yeah,
night.
that was a scary thing.
Yeah, and that was the so what's funny is so Adesanya fought on that same card, so they would have fought on the same card. Makes sense that they're now fighting for the for Whitaker's title. You know what I'm saying? Because Adesanya put on a great show and really put it to Anderson Silva, and he's an extremely entertaining fighter too.
Yeah.
And that's always nice to add at a pay-per-view. You get not only a title fight, but you get an entertaining fighter versus kind of a badass fighter like Kelvin Gastelum.
Yeah. Oh yeah, dude. When it comes down to the two styles, they're very odd, but from Adesanya, I totally get it. Now, just for Gastelum, he's gonna have to figure out how to a way to try to get to Adesanya because Adesanya is very it's a little bit he tries to bait you in a way.
He does.
In a fight. Like he tries to make you come to him. Trying to he's gonna use a lot of his kickboxing, of course, with Gastelum. And then I think they're going to try to measure each other in the first round. And then Gastelum will try to. If I was Gastelum, I would probably have to rely on wrestling to try to take down on Adesanya. But Adesanya, if I was him, I would have to try to bait him and try to tire him out. And then as soon as you get an opening on Gastelum, give him one of those head kicks. And if a head kick doesn't work, a good uppercut, and boom, that should be it.
Yeah, no, it's going to be an interesting fight for sure. And Adesanya comes in undefeated as well. Now, he hasn't ever really faced a legitimate top contender. Anderson Silva's great, but he's obviously past his prime.
It's true.
But his last three fights, performance of the night, and fight of the night. So He's putting on a show. That's why he's in this title fight. Gastelum obviously has the more experience, although he's lost more. Adesanya coming in as the youngster. If I had to pick a winner for this fight, I think it's Adesanya. Yeah. I see it going all the way to the later rounds. I don't know whether there will be a knockout in there. It's been harder to predict those lately, so I'm not going to make a prediction on a knockout. I'm just gonna say it's gonna go the full 5 rounds, even though Adesanya's never been in a title fight before.
Yeah.
Uh, but what I'm saying. Nonetheless, I think Adesanya is gonna pull this out. He's 16-0. He's the next kind of big young champion here in the UFC. Only 29 years old. Gaslam's only 27, but I just think you want the superstar to win. You want the real cool dude to win. And I think Adesanya has enough, and he's tricky enough to win this fight.
No, he's definitely on top right now. Adesanya, he's one of those guys you need to look out for. But like you said, Anderson Silva, a great fighter, but past his prime. He's like what in his 40s by now. He's
Yeah, I mean he's up there for sure.
Yeah. So Adesanya, he's real hot right now. Unless Gaslam finds a way to try to take down Adesanya, figures does a good game plan, and definitely, if I was Gaslam, I'd rely on wrestling.
Yeah, I would too. That's a very good analysis of it because Gaslam is a wrestler. He also boxes. He also got jujitsu in him. But I think you're right. Stylebender is not a submission artist. That's not what he is. He's a kickboxing guy. He's a trickerist. He puts his hands up kind of like John Jones. I think you're right. Gaslam should be going for sneaky, smart, calculated punches, and then also add wrestling in there to keep Adesanya on his toes. I just don't think that's going to happen. I think Adesanya's going to get to him. I think Adesanya's going to win a couple rounds with a couple good punches. Gaslam's going to wait and just going to wait too long. I think Adesanya's going to win in the end. Who do you got in the end winning the fight?
Adesanya, I'd go with him in the third round.
Yeah, I was saying. I knew you were going to say that too. Yeah,
safe side. Unless they can go 5 rounds, but if it goes for 5 rounds, it would just be pure domination by Adesanya at the very end.
Well, but what I see happening is a lot of total punches on Adesanya's side, kicks, stuff like kicks to the leg. So I think Gaslam's going to kind of have to really tire him out, submit him, or knock him out. I don't think if they go all the way just based on the styles that Adesanya won't win the fight. I think the only way Gaslam wins, like I said, is if it were a knockout, kind of a sneaky knockout. Adesanya gets too excited, gets too cocky in the fight, which I hope doesn't happen because it's always a little disappointing. We've seen, in Ghana do that before and other guys do that before, and even Anderson Silva do that before and get knocked out. So
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, hopefully. I do expect that to be a pretty good fight, though.
Yeah. It's going to be worth its money. It's definitely going to be worth the money. Of course, the main event, I don't think it's going to disappoint. So
Max Holloway. How does Max Holloway ever disappoint? Right?
Yeah, definitely. He never disappoints, man. I was watching that fight between him and Brian Ortega, and he just obliterated Ortega. I don't think Ortega was even the same after that.
No, I know. It's 4 straight knockouts for Max Holloway, all 4 defenses of titles or unification fights, stuff like that. He's also had performance of the night, fight of the night twice in 4 of those fights too. His last fight against Ortega was actually performance of the night and fight of the night. That was a doctor stoppage. He beat Ortega. So, I remember we were watching that, not together, but we were watching that.
Yeah, we were separately,
Oof. Such a brutal fight, man. Ortega's a beast, but Holloway's going to knock out any other opponent, Yeah. So, hey, now we have he has a common opponent in Poirier, who he fought way back in 2012. So, don't necessarily know if you can compare the 2 fights. The last time Poirier beat him by submission, and that was in the first round. That was also his featherweight debut, and only in his first UFC fight ever. So really, it's his second fight, but really it's the first one. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's a whole different ball game. Eric, I'll let you get your full analysis on this one too, and pick who's going to win. Dustin Poirier versus Max Holloway for the lightweight championship. Max Holloway's lightweight debut.
Damn, looking back, it's big. It was a big loss for Holloway because he was on a roll. That was actually his first loss under the featherweight division.
Yeah.
And so, if Poirier finds a way to try to give him the same armbar that he did years ago, then Holloway, if I was him, I would have to work on trying to stay away from that armbar that he did to Holloway, that happened to him. So Holloway would have to find ways to try to break out of that armbar. But then again, I think Poirier is going to have to change it up too. If he's going to have to use the same armbar. So if I was Holloway, I had to rely on just pure punches and punches. A couple of spinning back kicks because I know he's pretty known for some of his spinning back kicks. Poirier, I think I can see this fight going the full 5 rounds.
Cool.
And the more kicks and punches that I see landing, oh man, this is going to be a tough one.
It is a tough one.
I think probably Holloway might come out on top.
You're going full rounds, full 5?
Yeah, full rounds. They're going to go full rounds, and the decision is going to be on Holloway. Poirier, I think he'll do his best, but I don't think it's going to be enough unless he'll try to give him a couple takedowns. But Holloway, I think he's improved over these past few years. Seeing him fight guys like Ortega, and I think that he should by now improve. Been improved by now, so he should learn by his mistakes from like years ago. So I think Holloway comes out on top.
Yeah, this is a very interesting fight because you kind of have a ground and pound guy versus Max Holloway who just can kind of do everything.
Yeah.
It's just been such a consummate champion. Has defended his title with grace. Has had, like I said, 4 knockouts in a row of very, very quality opponents. I'll tell you this: since there's familiarity in this fight, I'm going to give Poirier a better chance than I would most guys because Poirier has beat him in the past, albeit 7 years ago. But still, a win is a win. He's a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I think he'll be able to get Max Holloway on the ground a couple times. I think Poirier is going to be able to possibly win some rounds in this fight. Unfortunately, I think they're going to go the distance as well, and I think Holloway's just going to win. I think Holloway is going to win 3 rounds, and I think Poirier is going to get 2. It's going to be a really close fight. When you come down to the end, you're really going to kind of wonder who really won the fight. I would not be surprised if Poirier actually submits Max Holloway in this fight. It is a different weight class. Remember, and we've seen guys move up and down weight classes and get beat. Conor McGregor, for example, was beaten when he went up to fight Nate Diaz. So I could see Poirier winning, but Eric, there's no way I'm saying Max Holloway doesn't win this fight. I'll say it as close as possible, but there's no way I'm saying Max Holloway loses.
Yeah, Holloway, it's he should be improved by now, like learn from his mistakes from the beginning. At the time, Holloway, different weight class, but like you said, sometimes these guys who move up or down a weight class, they get their asses kicked. But for DC, that's a whole different ball game. Remember?
Oh, exactly. Yeah.
So maybe if he moved up a weight class, then I think he might have a better chance. But we'll see what happens. But Holloway, he's going to come out on top.
Yeah, it's tough for both of us to pick against Max Holloway. Although Poirier has some great wins against Anthony Pettis, fight of the night, Justin Gaethje, who we saw with an incredible knockout the other day. He had a win against him in 18, a win against Eddie Alvarez. He was actually supposed to fight Nate Diaz at UFC 230 in Madison Square Garden, where we just were.
Yeah.
But Poirier had to pull out due to a hip injury, excuse me.
Yeah.
So that fight wasn't going to happen. So now he gets Max Holloway for the title. So fantastic, you know what I'm saying? So I like both these fights. I think they're both going to be interesting. I don't see some super quick knockout from either, which is good, which is a good thing. We've seen a lot of those lately, and especially some of these fight night cards. You definitely have these quick knockouts. What's interesting about this too is looking ahead. This is obviously for the interim lightweight championship. Eric, me and you have talked about super fights on a normal Ring Generals podcast. We've talked about super fights in the parking lot. We've talked about super fights everywhere. The current lightweight champion is Khabib Nurmagomedov. Max Holloway versus Khabib Nurmagomedov would be potentially the next freaking fight that would happen if Holloway were to win. That would be one of the best UFC fights, not only this year, but maybe ever. So That's something. If you want a super fight, you're gonna cheer for Max Holloway this Saturday.
Damn, how you put it that way.
Yeah.
That's true. With Khabib, but then again, if the, I do want as much as I want that fight to happen, I know it should happen. If Holloway comes out on top, he will definitely go up against Khabib. Now Khabib, right now, he has his hands full on this certain individual who's insulted him,
Yes.
his
Yeah.
religion, his wife, almost everybody in his team, and I think we all know who it is. It's Conor McGregor.
Yeah, let's talk about that too, because we kind of talked about the pay-per-view. We'll go back and explain
Yeah.
who we picked, but that is a story we do want to talk about. And obviously McGregor seems to be trying to cause some fight here,
Not
and
again.
he did announce his retirement, but it seems like that might be a little pro wrestling retirement right there.
Yeah, look at that. Yeah, definitely. Man, didn't know that pro wrestling for some reason followed the UFC. Like,
Yeah.
guessing they have some sort of working relationship. Maybe it could be that. But yeah, I got that vibe from Connor. I actually thought that Connor was going to interfere in the main event at WrestleMania.
Yeah, there's a possibility. I
Yeah,
know.
possibility. But yeah, I really think that this story has been coming out and it's been like building and building, and then until like one of the guys actually said that they're afraid that the feud might get out of hand, or they might think that somebody's gonna get killed or get shot,
Yeah.
because the fans, like, they are like some diehard fans of Conor and Khabib, and they just dislike each other. We saw that when Khabib went up against Conor back in October. Um, people beating the hell out of each other during the press conference, even during the concession stand, and then of course during the pay per view. And I'm afraid that shit might go down again.
I know. We talked about this at that restaurant on Saturday about
Yeah.
uh, how I don't want to see that happen. It's like I like the fights, I like the shit talking, but it seems like it's almost gone too far.
It's getting out of hand. Yeah.
Yeah, and we're guys that like this stuff, and it's almost like you watch a Khabib Conor fight, you almost hope that they just get in the ring and fight, and there's no press conference, and there's nothing extra, right? Nobody around the octagon. Just let them fight, let them get the hell out of that arena, and let them go on their case.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But of course, that's not going to happen, right?
It's not going to happen. It's not like that just makes the feud between DC and John Jones like nothing.
It looks like nothing. It's a very good comparison.
It's like it's making that feud like it's like a puppy dog. This is getting out of hand now. Okay.
No, it is.
I'm afraid that, I don't know, man. Like, this one is really starting to concern me. And it's not gonna make the UFC look good. All right.
No, it's gonna look horrible.
Yeah. Oh my God, dude.
It's gonna look terrible. But so yeah, funny enough, Khabib is eligible to fight July 6th. Now we know that card is UFC 239. Jumping back into when Khabib can fight. You already have John Jones on that card, Manny Nunez, Francis Ngannou, Jorge Masvidal, and Ben Askren. So I doubt they stack a card that crazily. But maybe we're looking at UFC 240 in August to potentially have Brock Lesnar and Daniel Cormier, and maybe even a Max Holloway Khabib fight. Then again, this is if Max Holloway wins. If Max Holloway wins, then Dustin Poirier is the natural next fight, and he deserves it. But I think we're looking at right now, we're talking about Conor McGregor right now. That would obviously be a great fight. We're talking about Khabib versus Max Holloway. That would obviously be a great fight. We're looking at when these fights could possibly happen: August, September, stuff like that. If it were to continue like it's going.
Yeah, if anything, it's almost like August is like a saving grace in a way. If that's going to be like the super fight for July, and if people aren't satisfied over that card in July, hey, we got August. We got August to look forward to. And it's kind of like those boxing fights back in the day where they actually had like big boxing fight, after month after month after month, or year after year. Like, that's what's great about it. And that's what sucks about boxing right now, is that they only have 2 or 3 fights that are like easily, anticipating for like once a year. That's it.
Yeah, no, I know it's kind of sucks. I mean, we got Lomachenko fighting tomorrow night on ESPN, but
yeah,
he kind of dominates the division he fights in. So, and interesting enough, so you mentioned how if the UFC 239 card for some reason disappoints or isn't as good, you could have a fight in August or September to supplant it. for a great example here is when UFC 200 happened. You
Yeah,
remember this card, obviously, because Brock was on it. Remember, John Jones got kicked out. There was a bunch of other fights that were kicked off that card. And
yeah,
then 2 months later, in August 20th, you had Nate Diaz versus Conor McGregor too.
that's right.
So the UFC will not go and put on some bad events. They'll keep it going. And I'm looking forward to any Max Holloway fight, any Khabib fight, any Conor fight, and obviously
Yeah.
anything the heavyweight division does too. And Brock Lesnar, if he were to come back, we're looking at some good stuff coming up in the summer, even though we have a great card coming up this Saturday too.
Yeah, it just builds and builds, and it just makes me like exciting.
Yeah.
It's getting off of WrestleMania. Hey, look, there's UFC 239, and then UFC 240 coming up. So that's something to look forward to in the world of MMA. And I'm not sure what's going on in the world of boxing as far as Anthony Joshua, because I remember we did see that board up in Madison Square Garden. Remember?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
So
yeah, we did. Yeah, that's gonna be he's fighting who is he fighting again?
he's gonna.
Miller.
Yeah, Miller. It's gonna
Miller.
be in June. I think it's gonna be in June, in the summer around there.
Yeah,
But
so we'll talk about that obviously a little
yeah,
bit later, and I'll definitely watch that fight because I've rarely seen Anthony Joshua fights before, so
yeah,
that will
yeah,
be super interesting to me to see that too.
yeah. And of course, we'll be hopefully when that happens, and if the fight does happen between Joshua and Wilder, even though that may be in our dreams, but hopefully it comes soon. Sooner
Yeah,
than later.
I actually think Tyson Fury is supposed to fight in the summer too. I heard that the other day.
Really? Okay. I
Yeah,
mean, yeah, definitely. I mean, anything with Tyson Fury, Wilder, or Joshua, bring them on.
dude, any of the big fighters, especially the heavyweights, it's awesome.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, no. So I before we get off here, I did want to tell a story about who we saw at
Yeah,
WrestleCon. Funny enough, this wasn't UFC Con, this wasn't MMA Con,
yeah.
so it's WrestleCon. So Eric, I know you really got excited when you saw this guy. Who did we see at WrestleCon this past Saturday night?
The man responsible for making Brock Lesnar tap out in Brock Lesnar's debut, Frank freaking Mir.
Yeah, isn't that cool? We
Damn.
saw Frank Mir. He was at WrestleCon, probably looking for Brock Lesnar. He's getting in he's getting into the wrestling business, and I believe he hit a promo the other day on whatever indie show he did, saying that he wanted Brock Lesnar to be the first fighter to ever die in the middle of the ring.
Oh my god. Dang.
So
Okay, so Frank Mir's not gonna let it go then. Okay.
no, not gonna let it
Yeah,
go. Absolutely
okay.
not.
I mean, guessing he's still pretty pissed off over his loss at UFC 100. Oh man.
Oh, I guess. I mean, he should get over it by now.
Yeah. Well, he should be happy because that main event actually made the UFC a lot of bucks.
It did.
It put the heavyweight division on the map. Like on
Yeah,
the
it really put Lesnar on the map too at that point too.
yeah. But yeah, dude, it was great. I just said hi to Frank Mir, and I'm like, Frank Mir, and he's like, "What's up, guys?"
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I was
No,
like,
it's fine. I mean, we did that to a lot of people on Saturday. We had Ric Flair walk right past us.
Ric Flair,
We
Frank,
had Trish.
yeah, Trish, Lita, Christian, everybody. Damn, like every legend.
Kevin Nash, big
Kevin
sexy.
Nash, oh my
Yeah.
God, I saw D'Lo Brown actually walking outside.
You saw D'Lo Brown?
Yeah, I was like, hey guys.
I'm hearing this.
Yeah, I'm like, hey guys, look, D'Lo Brown, and D'Lo Brown's like actually like walking outside the street. It looks like he's gonna go to the Hall of Fame probably.
Probably.
Yeah, but everybody was there. I do know that Billy Corgan was invited to the Hall of Fame in honor of the Emil Neidhart's passing.
Yeah.
His Hall of Fame induction. Of course, we all know what happened between Bret Hart and that fan.
Yeah. I mean, we'll extend more on that probably on the podcast tomorrow or whenever it's released. But yeah, some crazy stuff. Obviously, there's so much to talk about, and we got to save some for each podcast. But yeah, I don't know if we told the story before this started. So we are obviously both kind of under the weather, and one of the reasons.
Yeah.
Not only is because we were yelling and we were excited, and you can hear Eric yell Brock Lesnar's name on one of the videos I posted, and you can hear me screaming and singing as loud as I can on Saturday night. But After WrestleMania, which ended at about 12:30 Eastern time,
Oh boy.
it took us 3.5 hours to get home. No joke, and that is just due to the terrible New Jersey transit system. The trains weren't going fast enough. Ubers weren't picking people up. Lyfts weren't picking people up, and we had to stand. Not only all that, but we had to stand in the pouring rain for about an hour and a half at least. And so, we got our gut punched at the end of WrestleMania. The weekend was awesome. I have no complaints.
Yeah.
Besides that, and I've gotten over that, and my flight was fine on the way back. So, but definitely, it took a lot out of us. So we want to tell that story, just for people that maybe are just watching the UFC stuff. We had to wait 3.5 hours after that event, at MetLife Stadium. So shout out to MetLife Stadium for sucking as far as the transit system and the Uber system. It's terrible.
It's just
terrible.
It's just horrible. And if WrestleMania does come to MetLife, I urge 80,000 people who are going to plan to go there, don't do it. Please don't do it. You're going to be there in the rain.
Figure out another way to get home. You gotta drive there and just not drink or whatever. Like, you gotta figure it. It's not worth it to go to WrestleMania and then have to wait that long after.
Yeah.
The event is awesome, but Eric, imagine if the event had sucked. Right? Imagine if you had one of those Roman Reigns endings, right? Like, where people
no. It's just, I just had this feeling that, like, after WrestleMania, even though we'll talk more about the main event, that's for a different discussion as far as, like,
we're not talking about that,
all
right?
that. But event satisfied, just definitely the ending just completely, it just made me realize that MetLife just doesn't care about us. Like, it just doesn't care about us fans. Or I thought the excuses, one of the excuses, oh, hold up. Okay. One of the excuses was that the guys was that it wasn't, that they didn't even know about that it was going to fill up. One of the excuses was that they didn't know it wasn't going to fill up the stadium. And then at the very end, they realized that they made a mistake, that, oh crap, like, there's a lot of people coming in.
It's so stupid.
And
that is, like, incredibly dumb to me.
And it's just, to me, it's like, it made me, like, realize, like, are you guys kidding me? Like, you guys didn't know that the stadium was going to fill up?
It had 6 years ago.
It just shows it just shows that how much improvements that you guys did for the transportation since Super Bowl 2014, because there's a report about that actually did happen, the same thing too. Although in their case it didn't rain, in our case it rained as hell.
It rained hard.
Yeah, it rained as hell, which is why we have the voice just completely well. My voice is screwed up because of cheering for Kofi. Definitely.
Yeah.
I don't blame that. That's on me. Like, I get that. Kofi, congratulations. Thank you. Appreciate it, man. Thank you for making me lose my voice. Awesome. Just me being sick, I blame MetLife for that. And it's a damn island. That's what it is. It's a damn island, and that shit just doesn't fly well with me. I'm sorry. It just does not fly well with me. And it just made me realize that I'm not gonna come to New Jersey ever again.
No, especially at least for until MetLife Stadium. It was what's funny, the transportation, like, kind of to Manhattan was fine the whole time.
Yeah.
Just that one stadium, man. We'll just stay in Manhattan next time. That's what we'll do.
Yeah, New York just made me love New York even better. And I know when we were stuck in the rain, I just said, you know what? I don't want to sightsee anymore. I just want to go home. Like, I just want to go home. And dude, I was actually thinking about this idea, but it just came to me. But I didn't like wanted to bring it up. But I was thinking, like, even though I had like 80% on my phone that night, I was thinking that I was going to interview, like, a lot of the people, saying what do you guys think about the event, the aftermath? What do you guys think about this? What do you guys think about that?
So that was your idea? That was your idea after? Oh my God, he got screwed. It's so crazy.
Yeah, but then again, I had to conserve as much battery as we can until we get to that city, which was Secaucus. Yeah, Secaucus.
Yeah.
So we got to that train station. Luckily, we got the Uber, and man, that was a saving grace. That was like $29. When they picked us up, and dude, I never got my money back for $93 when they canceled my Uber.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like I went to my bank account.
You
And,
gotta go call Uber about that.
yeah,
It's so funny. Look how candid we are. I'm like, yeah, it's UFC show. You get all the candid stuff. Yeah.
yeah, and dude, I got like 93. Like they took away $93 when I called them up for because remember how they were canceling on us. So when
Yeah,
they
they were
canceled,
canceling us too.
they cancel on everybody. I just hope that everybody else found a way to get back home. But
Yeah, I agree.
you know, that should just piss me off. It did.
Yeah, when you guys had left, I stayed at the hotel for a little bit more just because my flight was a lot later than your guys back on Monday.
Yeah.
There were people downstairs talking about how some of them had got back at 5:30.
Shit.
No joke, because we got back at 4.
Yeah,
I
we
stayed
did.
up to like 5:30 because I was so damn shell shocked from standing in the rain for 3 hours. But there was people saying they didn't get back till 5:30, and the hotel was like well aware of it, and they were. I got a free sandwich out of it from the hotel too when I
Yes,
went
I
downstairs.
got that too. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So that was cool. I think they realized what had happened. So that was great. I had no complaints about our hotel the whole time. But yeah,
Yeah, same thing. I didn't have no complaints over the hotel. They knew when they saw, I'm pretty sure when they saw us like all soaked, they knew, oh shit, like they came back from MetLife. Hell, you
yeah.
know? And so,
My clothes are still wet.
yeah, yeah. Wait, you didn't wash it?
No,
You
I
didn't?
watched it. It was a joke. It was a joke. But
Oh, okay, yeah.
no, no, yeah,
Oh, I
yeah.
was like, no,
They
yes.
were wet up until yesterday though. I hadn't washed them until yesterday because I don't need that big jacket here in sunny, beautiful Southern
Yeah, I
California.
know, right?
Yeah.
And actually, there's actually going to be transportation over at the new LA Rams stadium.
Yes.
All right, so I'm excited for in 2021 because WrestleMania, if it's confirmed,
Potentially. No, no, no. Potentially. It's not confirmed. It's not confirmed.
okay, but
You're excited. I know
if
you're
that were to
excited.
happen, let's do it. Let's do LA. Let's do that. Let's do that. All right.
100%. Oh, that's so easy. You just drive up there,
Uh,
20 minutes up, 20 minutes back.
yeah, let's do that. Yeah,
Super simple. We got tons of rides we can get. All right, let's end this pod. We've talked enough nonsense about the
yeah.
trip and stuff like that. We'll get
Save more of it tomorrow, the other day.
exactly. Yeah, when we do our Ring Generals podcast about WrestleMania, about the current WWE storylines and stuff like that, you'll hear definitely the RKJ man's take on this, which will probably be a lot more entertaining and a lot more boisterous than ours.
Yeah.
And you could also hear what we say and extend on it a little bit more. But for the UFC show, Eric, let's do it one more time. Let's just give away those last 2 main event fights. Who'd you have in the Gastelum Adesanya fight, the rounds and stuff too?
Adesanya, round 3.
Okay.
Going for
I
round 3.
have Adesanya going the distance in 5.
5. Okay, makes sense. And we have Holloway versus Poirier, and Holloway going full 5 rounds.
Yeah, I agree. I think Holloway wins 3, Poirier wins 2, gets him to the ground a couple times, and yeah. So yeah, UFC 236 this Saturday. We're gonna have another Ring Generals podcast. Check out our page right now. I just posted a really cool video of our experience at WrestleMania in New York City, all the cool stuff we did. So go check that out. That'll be on the page for a long time too. So we'll probably keep talking about that. Hey, UFC U236. I'm excited to get back into kind of the normal world and get back to watching some real fighting and stuff like that. So for Nick Nenad.
And I'm Eric Santos.
Yeah, this has been the UFC show from the Ring Generals.